Welcome back to From the Region with Richard Giragosyan. Last week we analyzed and assessed leading players of the Armenian economy, looking at characteristics of oligarchs as well as the nature of the closed economic system of Armenia. This week our focus will be much more on who the political players in Armenia are. The reason for our focus on the political landscape this week is because parliamentary elections are coming next year to Armenia. Following parliamentary elections, we will have presidential elections the year after. Based on this fact, the pre-election campaign season has already started. We see an ongoing dialogue between the opposition Armenian National Congress with the Armenian government, but at the same time, all political players and political parties are positioning themselves now for next year's parliamentary elections. The other reason we're focusing on the political landscape is because there have been significant changes in the dynamics and the details between the ruling coalition, the opposition parties, and the relationship between different partners within the coalition. First, let's start at looking at the ruling coalition of the government of Armenia. There are three parties comprising the government coalition. The largest and leading member of this coalition is the Republican Party. The Republican Party of Armenia is the largest and most powerful political force in the country. It has the largest number of seats in the parliament. The Republican Party today is headed by President Serge Sargsyan. What is interesting, however, is former Prime Minister Antranik Markaryan was a key figure and leader of the Republican Party until his death. What's interesting is the Republican Party is comprised of many businessmen, many politicians, in a rather loose coalition based on shared interests in promoting the government and the government's policies. However, the Republican Party is based more on administrative resources rather than the Western-style grassroots membership. In other words, the Republican Party's influence and presence in the regions of Armenia are generally based on school teachers and civil servants in the regions, rather than individual party members. Citizens don't make up party membership in the classical sense. Rather, this is a top-down model. The second most powerful party comprising the pro-government coalition is Prosperous Armenia, or Bargavach Hayastan, which is led by Mr. Gagik Tsarukyan, himself a businessman and the head of Multigroup. Prosperous Armenia is more of a business-related party, where the role model for Prosperous Armenia and its leader is much more Silvio Berlusconi, the leader of Italy. And in many ways, it represents a clear demonstration of the relationship between big business and politics. What's interesting about Prosperous Armenia is it's fairly new. It's also much more a top-down party, similar to the Republican Party, but with key business interests represented within the party structures. Both the Republican Party and Prosperous Armenia have very active youth wings as well, which also tends to make them more significant than more traditional older political parties. The third member of the ruling coalition is Ordinats Yergir, the Country of Law Party, which is a party led by Artur Bagdasaryan, now the chairman of the Armenian National Security Council. The interesting thing about Artur Bagdasaryan is he's a former chairman of the Armenian Parliament. But what is most significant is Bagdasaryan posed as a former opposition candidate and leader. He was trying to put forth, during the term of President Robert Kocharyan, an attempt to present himself as an opposition force. However, now that he is fairly co-opted within the government structures, Ordinats Yergir serves a much more important purpose for the ruling government as a second pillar of support. In other words, within the triad, or the three-party ruling coalition, Ordinats Yergir, as the junior member of the coalition, the third party, generally supports the Republican Party. We also see a significant division within this ruling coalition, a division specifically between the Republican Party and Prosperous Armenia, a divergence of interests. Although they are both in the government, the division centers on the diverging interests, or the different interests between the current president and the former president. In other words, prosperous Armenia is very much aligned and affiliated with former President Robert Kocharyan. The Republican Party is the vehicle of current President Serge Sargsyan. And in many ways, the division between the parties reflects the inherent rivalry between the former president, Kocharyan, and the current president, Sargsyan. And in terms of the future of power and politics in Armenia, this division is the current conflict of Armenian politics, much more so than the opposition versus the authorities. In other words, the traditional conflict between the opposition and the ruling government or the authorities is no longer the leading or most significant development. It's much more a conflict within the ruling political elite itself and within the government itself. Now, in addition to the ruling coalition, we have several other political players on the scene. The Armenian Revolutionary Federation, Dashnak Suchun, which was a member of the pro-government coalition during the government of former President Robert Kocharyan through the government of Serge Sargsyan. However, the ARF, Dashnak Suchun, withdrew, resigned from the ruling coalition in protest over the Armenian-Turkish protocols and to protest the policy of engagement between Armenia and Turkey. The ARF Dashnak Suchun now sees itself as an opposition force outside of the government. And in many ways, the attacks on the government and criticism by the Dashnak Suchun have increased. What's interesting, however, is most recently we see an apparent division or split within the ARF Dashnak Suchun itself, where the Dashnak Suchun party in the United States has decided to boycott a coming visit in September of Armenian President Sargsyan to California, in contrast to the Dashnak leaders in Armenia, who don't want to openly oppose the Armenian president. And this division is symbolic of a greater division within the ARF, within the Dashnak Suchun, where many outside of Armenia are much more opposed to government policies, and the ARF leadership in Armenia is much more part of the system, whether it's a business interest or whether it's government authority and legitimacy. And this division will actually suggest even more interesting developments within the coming election cycle. What we also see is the Armenian National Congress, which is a rather loose coalition of opposition parties united behind former President Levon Ter-Petrosyan, who ran as a presidential candidate and was defeated against Serge Sargsyan. Ter-Petrosyan, as an agent of change during the March 1st post-election crisis, is now emerged as a key opposition power base or center in calling to account the government. And it is Ter-Petrosyan and his Armenian National Congress that is engaged in an important dialogue with the government. We also have the Heritage Party, which is the only opposition party currently represented in the Armenian parliament. The Heritage Party is opposed to the dialogue and is opposed to almost all government policies, whether their attacks are concentrated on economic policy or regarding Armenia-Turkey. What is interesting, however, is two facts. One is that there are no new faces in terms of Armenian politics. We don't have any emerging leaders or emerging forces or parties on the scene. There are several developments over the past 2 years since the March 1st post-election crisis. People like Girac Sefilian and the Sardarabad Initiative. Others like Tigran Karapetyan. Others who are playing in the political field. But in terms of longer-term power and potential, we don't see the emergence of new faces or new forces. This is also a reflection of the problem of Armenian politics. Like the economy, it's very closed. Part of the reason for the closed nature of Armenian politics is based on the problem in the Armenian regions, where the governors of every Armenian region are presidentially appointed, meaning that democracy does not come from below in terms of Armenia's political system. There is a very difficult challenge or obstacle facing any potential political aspirant or candidate coming outside of Yerevan or from the regions. This is also a major weakness of the Armenian political system. So what we see is a number of political figures and powers, mainly concentrated behind specific political parties. Artur Bagdasaryan from Ordinats Yergir, Mr. Tsarukyan from Bargavach Hayastan, the incumbent president with Republican Party, etc. What we also see is a transition in political elites. In many ways, the current president represents the last of a certain political elite, the last of a political elite that came to power because of the Karabakh War or came to power from Nagorno-Karabakh. What we now see is a transition, a new political elite, consisting of people and political players and powers who rose within the Armenian system, not because of the Karabakh War. Some examples of these people. We have, for example, Hovig Abrahamyan. Mr. Abrahamyan is the Speaker of the Armenian Parliament. He rose through the political system. He should not be underestimated. Abrahamyan represents a new face of a new political elite in Armenia. He's closely tied or affiliated, by perception, with former President Kocharyan, and is not necessarily an independent voice or figure, but he does represent an element of this new political elite. Another example of a new political elite, not from Nagorno-Karabakh, and that didn't come to power because of the Karabakh War, are the former foreign ministers, Vardan Oskanyan and Rafi Hovhannisyan. Hovhannisyan represents the leadership of the Heritage Party, the opposition, and Oskanyan is seemingly a political figure in Armenia, although not yet with his own political structure or party. But both these men, as former foreign ministers, represent another face of an emerging political elite. A third component or member of this new political elite are people like David Harutyunyan, the former Minister of Justice, now a key parliamentary committee chairman, and also the government's lead member of the dialogue with the opposition. Harutyunyan represents as well a new generation and a new face of this new political elite. So we do see, moving into an election cycle, an interesting struggle. For the first time in Armenian political history, a real struggle or conflict within the government, within the ruling elite, namely between Republican Party and Prosperous Armenia, and representing the deeper rivalry between Kocharyan and Sargsyan. We also see a new transition, a transition of political elites, where new figures and forces can be expected to play a much greater role. Rather than the traditional political parties, we may see a change in the political landscape of Armenia with great implications for what kind of Armenia will follow the next election. What's also and finally most important is that the coming election cycle is more important than any previous election. In other words, this parliamentary election slated for next year, followed by the presidential election, both are very different than previous elections. There is much less tolerance for voting irregularities or fraud, and there are much higher expectations for much cleaner and more transparent elections. Therefore, the combination of greater pressure and higher expectations means that this coming election cycle could mark a turning point in the development of Armenia politically. And therefore, we need to examine this even more in detail. And join me next week for carrying forward this discussion, and thank you for watching.